Okay, welcome to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
So today we're going to get into creating subcontracting purchase orders in SAP.
Yep, specifically using the ME21N transaction.
Exactly. We've looked at a functional guide and a tutorial, both dated April 27th, 2025.
And the plan is really to pull out the main things you need to know, right?
Yeah, just the essentials. So if you want to, make sense of SAP subcontracting without getting totally bogged down in technical stuff, this is for you.
It's interesting how SAP sets up this whole process for working with outside suppliers, isn't it?
It really is. It's very structured.
Making sure everyone knows what needs making and
Yeah.
what parts are needed to make it.
Right. So step one happens in ME21N. You basically start by putting in the item you want, ordered the finished product. And the really key thing here is selecting the subcontracting item category. That's L.
That L is critical. It's not just a letter. It signals the whole subcontracting flow to the system.
Yeah, it tells SAP this is for like an external supplier or maybe even a transfer to another plant you own.
And that changes how inventory and costs are handled compared to just buying something off the shelf.
Okay, so SAP knows what you want made. How do you tell it what the supplier needs to, actually use?
The components, the raw materials.
Right, you need to get to the component processing screen for that.
Which is buried a bit in the menus.
A little. It's under item details, then article data, and finally components. Bit of a click path.
Got it. Detail de post-donné article components in the original guide's language.
Yeah, and that's where you list out everything the supplier needs.
Like building the recipe, the bill of materials, specifically for that subcontractor on that order.
And here's something pretty neat. When you add those components, you don't always have to manually put in the date the supplier needs them by.
Oh, really? How does that work?
Well, SAP can propose it automatically. It just looks at the delivery date for the main thing you ordered
The finished good?
and subtracts the planned delivery lead time.
Ah, okay. So it works backward to figure out when the components need to be ready. That's quite efficient.
It does streamline things. Now, also for those components, there's this checkbox for fixed quantity.
Fixed quantity, what does that do?
If you check that box, even if you later change the total number of finished goods you ordered,
Yeah.
the quantity you specified for that specific component stays the same. It doesn't adjust automatically.
I can see cases for that. Maybe you've already committed to buying a certain amount of that part.
Exactly. Or maybe it's supplied in fixed batches or something.
True, but you'd need to be careful, wouldn't you? If your overall demand drops, you could end up stuck with extra components.
That's a really good point. It offers control, but maybe reduces flexibility. It's a trade-off.
Definitely something to watch.
The sources also mention batches. So if you need the supplier to use a specific batch of a component,
Like for quality control or tracking?
precisely, you can enter that specific batch number right there on the component line.
That provides really granular control, vital in some industries like pharma or food for traceability.
Absolutely. And before you even save the whole order, you can do a check
A check for what?
to see if the components will actually be available by the date they're needed.
Oh, an availability check. That's useful.
Yeah, it's under list component availability, helps avoid nasty surprises later.
Proactive checks like that are key to keeping things running smoothly. Prevents delays.
Right. Now, what if the main item you're ordering, the finished good, is already set up as a bill of materials in SAP?
You mean it already has its standard components defined?
Yeah, like a standard product recipe.
Okay, then what?
Well, SAP is smart enough to just pull those components in automatically when you use category L.
Ah, so it populates the component list for you based on the existing BM. Nice.
Saves a lot of typing. But what if that standard BM changes after you've created the purchase order?
Good question. The recipe gets updated. Does the PO automatically update?
Not automatically, but there's a function for it. It's called éclat. Nomor.
Éclatement sounds French, like explode bomb.
Exactly. That's basically what it does. It re-explodes the bill of materials
So it like clears out the old components.
and pulls in the new ones based on the latest version of the bomb.
Okay, so it keeps your subcontracting order aligned with the current product design. That's important.
Definitely. So once you've got all that information in the main item, the components, dates, batches, quantities, you just save the purchase order.
Standard SAP save.
Yep. And when the order is printed out or sent electronically, it clearly shows the components required for each main item being ordered.
So the supplier sees the finished good they need to make and the list of ingredients you're providing or they need to use.
Precisely. Makes it all very clear.
So yeah, wrapping it up, it's a very integrated process in ME21N. Specify the main item, use L, detail the components.
Leveraging those cool features like automatic dates, fixed quantities if needed, batch control, and that bow bomb explosion function.
It's all designed to make subcontracting, which can be complex, more manageable, and traceable within SAP.
Right. So the key takeaway really is understanding that flow, item, category L components, and the options available there.
It aims for efficiency and clear communication with your manufacturing partners, reducing errors.
Definitely. Which brings us to a final thought, something for you to chew on.
Okay.
Considering this level of detail and structure SAP requires for a subcontracting PO, what are the real-world benefits, but also maybe the drawbacks or challenges of having such a formal, auditable process when you're outsourcing manufacturing work?
That's a great question. The balance between control and flexibility.
Exactly. Something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, welcome to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
So today we're going to get into creating subcontracting purchase orders in SAP.
Yep, specifically using the ME21N transaction.
Exactly. We've looked at a functional guide and a tutorial, both dated April 27th, 2025.
And the plan is really to pull out the main things you need to know, right?
Yeah, just the essentials. So if you want to, make sense of SAP subcontracting without getting totally bogged down in technical stuff, this is for you.
It's interesting how SAP sets up this whole process for working with outside suppliers, isn't it?
It really is. It's very structured.
Making sure everyone knows what needs making and what parts are needed to make it.
Right. So step one happens in ME21N. You basically start by putting in the item you want, ordered the finished product. And the really key thing here is selecting the subcontracting item category. That's L.
That L